However, mental health illnesses are just as valid and just as detrimental to performance as physical injuries.
Own your roar.
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 We all matter.
You matter.
You are not alone.
We are all in this together.
We are Bruin Brave.
My name is Olivia Lubarski. I'm 22. I went to Towson University. So Own Your Roar is an initiative that I started that unites mental health and athletics. It kind of strives to utilize sport as the platform to kind of start the conversation. And it was inspired by my personal experiences. My freshman year, I was not competitive athletically. I wasn't allowed. I became so afraid of failure that I was not functional. I was telling myself that depression was something that I was making up to excuse why I wasn't doing well. Overcoming that, I kind of just leaned into my sport. When you're doing gymnastics, you have to be totally dialed in, which kind of makes it such an escape from the rest of your life. So I found a lot of comfort in that. And the last practice before I was supposed to compete for the first time, I tore my Achilles. That was one of the most pivotal experiences in my college career. It wasn't something that I was going to be out for a few weeks and could make it to the end of the season. It was, I'm on my butt for the next 10 to 12 months. So that was kind of what inspired me to start Own Your Roar, was like, why did I feel so much comfort in my recovery plan for my physical injury versus I felt so freaking lost for my mental health battles.
My name is Anna Glenn. I just graduated from UCLA in the spring of 2020. I was on the gymnastics team there for the past 4 years. So my experience with gymnastics at UCLA was a roller coaster, to say the least. I didn't compete my first or my senior year, so that was really rocky due to injury. My freshman year was when I really started feeling depression and digging myself in a hole where I just didn't feel happy in what I was doing. And that's when I started seeing a therapist who was actually referred to me by my coach. Going through that experience, I realized that mental health is something that I don't really hear a lot about on campus, and that I know is something that a lot of my teammates are dealing with, and myself. Bruin Brave kind of came about after my freshman year, which is the first time I really experienced mental health issues myself. And I was also seeing a lot of other student athletes across the country at different universities doing the same thing. Olivia Lubarski at Towson, the Own Your Roar campaign, and I was really close with her too because we had mutual teammates.
Initially, I kind of felt like mental health in athletics just wasn't talked about. So I started just a peer support group. We had baseball games and softball games and gymnastics meets dedicated to mental health awareness. I was able to, every semester that I was there, I brought in an outside group to do some type of workshop on a semesterly basis on suicide prevention or depression. And then my senior year, I actually created a curriculum guided mentorship program, and we had about 20% of the student athletes at Towson participating. It was kind of like a pilot program. And now Own Your Roar has actually been woven into the infrastructure of Towson athletic support services for student athletes. I got the opportunity to connect with Anna all the way across the country. UCLA gymnastics is such a powerhouse, so she's an idol for me.
After initially presenting the idea to people in the athletic department, I was able to get more support within the student athlete community. So that was amazing. Campaign itself, I think, is more of a way to get people more comfortable with normalizing the conversation. So we just recently had a health and wellness fair, and we dedicated it to the Bruin Brave campaign. So we are able to have panelists, alumni come on and talk about their mental health battles. And it was our first starting point conversation panel, which was amazing.
So I have worked with quite a lot of student athletes, and I think there is just a tremendous sense of pressure, that athletes experience. And so when you think about academic stress and then also the athletic stress that you're experiencing, there's a lot there and there's a lot to hold. I think athletes are taught from a very young age how to compartmentalize their feelings and their experience. And that can be really, really helpful in the moment of a game, right? But then when you come off the court, if you don't know how to let that out, right, that's when we start feeling stuck and having questions about well, who am I, right? Or I'm doing this behavior and I don't know why. And so, I would just say not everyone needs therapy. There's a lot of ways to connect and enhance your mental health.
Mental health in gymnastics is definitely a stigmatized conversation and topic. In the future, I would really like to, change the culture of gymnastics where people aren't afraid to go up to their coach and say what's wrong, or really be able to open up to their coaches. Your mental health is just as important as your physical health.
So Own Your Roar has kind of really solidified my advocacy passion and advocacy work. I would love to kind of confront some of those public policies that don't value mental health and mental health care on the same level as we do for physical health and physical health care.